Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this fascinating journey into the world of rare coins and incredible monetary anomalies, where ordinary objects transform into extraordinary treasures worth millions of dollars. And today we're diving into a story that sounds almost too incredible to believe, yet it is entirely true. The tale of the 1999 1-cent coin that is valued at an astonishing $17 million, a coin whose immense worth is not derived from age, rarity in the traditional sense, or historical significance alone, but rather from a series of mistakes, errors, and anomalies that combine to create one of the most sought-after coins in the numismatic world, a coin whose story begins in the United States Mint, where, in the closing months of the 20th century, a batch of pennies was produced with errors that would not be noticed for years, yet would eventually capture the attention of collectors, historians, and even the general public, propelling an otherwise ordinary cent into the realm of unimaginable value. And what makes this coin particularly fascinating is the way in which these errors occurred, starting with the fact that it bears a date of 1999 but is distinguished from its more common counterparts by a series of imperfections, anomalies in design, and mistakes in the minting process, including misalignment, doubling of images, die cracks, and other irregularities that are normally considered flaws. But in the world of coin collecting can transform a simple penny into a treasure worth millions, and we should consider the context in which this penny was produced, a time when the United States Mint was utilizing new technologies and processes that, while efficient for mass production, inadvertently created opportunities for mistakes that would later prove to be extremely valuable. And among these errors, one of the most remarkable is the phenomenon known as the double die, where the design elements, including the date, inscriptions, or images, are struck twice, slightly misaligned, creating a visible duplication that is highly prized by collectors. And in the case of the 1999 1-cent coin, the doubling can be seen on the date as well as on the lettering, producing an effect that is not just visually striking but also exceedingly rare, which is why collectors are willing to pay enormous sums to acquire such a specimen, recognizing that the rarity combined with the distinctiveness of the error makes it an almost irreplaceable item. And this is just the beginning, because beyond doubling, there are other mistakes that contribute to its value, such as die cracks, which occur when the metal dies used to strike coins develop fissures over time due to the immense pressure required during minting. And when a coin is struck with such a cracked die, raised lines or irregularities appear on the surface of the coin, lines that are unique to each individual coin and cannot be replicated, creating a fingerprint-like uniqueness that further elevates the value in the eyes of collectors. And it's important to note that these types of mistakes are not just trivial imperfections, they are documented, catalogued, and meticulously sought after because each error tells a story of the coin's journey through the minting process, revealing the human and mechanical factors that converge to create something truly remarkable. And the 1999 penny with these mistakes also features variations in the composition of the metal, where some coins contain slightly different mixtures of copper and zinc than standard pennies, leading to differences in weight, color, and even how the coin reacts to light, all subtle distinctions that can dramatically increase desirability, because collectors understand that these variations are limited, often numbering only a few dozen or even fewer examples known to exist. And when combined with visual errors like doubling or die cracks, the result is a coin whose rarity and uniqueness are virtually unmatched. And the story becomes even more compelling when we consider the historical context of 1999, a year that was itself a period of transition for the U.S. Mint, with new technologies, production demands, and changes in materials that created a fertile ground for mistakes. Yet these mistakes were unintentional, almost accidental, which adds a layer of intrigue and narrative depth to the coin, making it not just valuable in monetary terms but also historically and culturally significant, as it represents a tangible connection to the production processes, the people, and the technological limitations of the time. And beyond the physical characteristics, the market dynamics surrounding these coins amplify their value exponentially, because once news of the errors spread among collectors, demand skyrocketed, and scarcity combined with high interest transformed an otherwise ordinary penny into a commodity that could command millions of dollars. And it's worth noting that the $17 million valuation is not arbitrary. It reflects both the rarity and the fervent desire among serious numismatists to acquire such a specimen, as well as the broader trend in the collectibles market where historical mistakes, anomalies, and unique features are highly prized, and some have argued that part of the value is psychological, stemming from the idea that owning such a coin is akin to possessing a piece of history, a physical artifact that embodies human error, chance, and the unpredictability of production processes, which is something that resonates deeply with collectors who view these coins as both investments and as tangible connections to an era, to a process, and to a story that cannot be replicated. And in exploring the specific errors that make the 1999 penny so valuable, it's crucial to highlight the variations in the mint mark, where some coins have subtle differences in the lettering or placement of the mint mark itself, deviations that may appear almost imperceptible to the untrained eye but are glaringly obvious to experienced collectors, and these differences can dramatically increase the coin's value because they signify a rare divergence from standard production, making the coin not just a monetary object but a study in production anomalies and quality control deviations. And when you combine the doubling, the die cracks, the metal composition variations, and the mint mark irregularities, you create a coin that is extraordinarily complex in terms of the factors that contribute to its rarity, and this complexity is part of what drives its value into the multi-million-dollar range, as it represents a perfect storm of conditions that could not have been intentionally replicated, emphasizing the role of chance in creating one of the most valuable pennies ever produced. And beyond the technical errors, there are also examples of coins with off-center strikes, where the metal blank is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in an image that is partially missing or shifted, another error that is highly sought after by collectors because it is visually distinctive and exceedingly rare, and when combined with doubling and other anomalies, such coins become practically priceless in the numismatic world. And it is also fascinating to consider the ways in which these errors could have gone unnoticed for years, circulating as ordinary pennies before collectors and experts identified their anomalies, and this delayed recognition adds to the mystique, because it means that for a period, these coins were part of everyday life, tucked away in wallets, jars, and cash registers, only to later emerge as coveted treasures whose true value was not apparent until careful scrutiny revealed the unique errors. And part of the appeal lies in imagining that someone could have had such a coin in their possession unknowingly, a literal fortune in their pocket, which adds a layer of human drama to the story, as the coin's journey from obscurity to multi-million-dollar valuation mirrors the unpredictable nature of collecting, investment, and the ways in which history assigns value to objects based on rarity, uniqueness, and story. And if we examine the possibilities that make this coin so valuable, we see that it is not merely the physical errors themselves, but also the potential for further discoveries, as coin collectors continue to search for other examples of similar mistakes, and each newly discovered coin can alter market perceptions, create competition among buyers, and push valuations even higher, illustrating the dynamic nature of the collectibles market, where knowledge, timing, and access to rare specimens intersect to create enormous financial stakes. And in the case of the 1999 penny, the potential for mistakes to exist in even greater numbers or in different forms tantalizes the imagination, as experts speculate on whether there might be undiscovered double dies, off-center strikes, or other anomalies that could redefine the landscape of penny collecting. And this speculative element adds another dimension to the value, because rarity is not static but fluid, and the thrill of discovery, the hunt for the next unprecedented error, drives collectors to extraordinary lengths, further reinforcing the multi-million-dollar valuation. And beyond the financial and historical aspects, there is also a deep aesthetic appeal in these errors, as the visual distortions, misalignments, and irregularities create patterns and textures that are almost artistic in nature, transforming a utilitarian object into a miniature work of art. Next, 1997 1 cent, today on this fascinating exploration into the world of rare coins, where ordinary currency can transform into objects of unimaginable value, capturing the attention of collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike. And today, we're diving into a story that is as incredible as it is true, the tale of the 1997 1 cent coin, a coin whose production errors, mistakes, and anomalies have combined to create a specimen valued at a staggering $15 million. And what makes this story so captivating is not just the coin's monetary worth, but the intricate journey of chance, human error, and mechanical mishap that turned an otherwise ordinary penny into one of the most coveted treasures in the numismatic world. And it all begins at the United States Mint, where in 1997, during a period of production innovation and transition, a batch of pennies was struck that would later be recognized as exceptional due to a series of anomalies that were both unintended and extraordinarily rare, starting with the phenomenon known as a double die, an error that occurs when the coin is struck more than once in misaligned positions, creating a duplication effect on the date, lettering, or images on the coin, and in the case of the 1997 1-cent coin, collectors have observed doubling on the date, the inscriptions, and even certain design elements of Abraham Lincoln's portrait, with these doubled features producing a visual effect that is not only striking but also extremely uncommon. And because double dies are difficult to detect without careful examination, many coins from that year passed unnoticed as ordinary pennies before experts identified their uniqueness, and this delayed recognition adds an element of mystery and excitement, as it suggests that some of these pennies could still be hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered, a thought that thrills both seasoned collectors and amateur treasure hunters alike. And beyond the double die, there are additional errors that contribute to the coin's value, including die cracks, which occur when the steel dies used in the minting process develop fissures under the immense pressure required to strike coins, and when a coin is struck with such a cracked die, raised lines or imperfections appear across the surface of the coin, creating patterns that are completely unique to each specimen. And these imperfections are highly prized because they serve as a fingerprint of the minting process, documenting the exact circumstances under which the coin was produced. And in the case of the 1997 penny, die cracks appear in locations that make them particularly noticeable and aesthetically appealing to collectors, further amplifying the coin's desirability. And the errors do not stop there, as some 1997 pennies exhibit off-center strikes, a mistake that occurs when the metal planchet is not properly aligned within the press, resulting in part of the design being cropped or shifted to one side. And these off-center coins are extremely rare, as most coins are struck with precision to ensure a centered design, and the combination of off-center striking with other errors, such as doubling or die cracks, creates a coin that is exceptionally rare and valuable, because each additional anomaly multiplies the coin's uniqueness. And in addition to these errors, variations in the metal composition of the 1997 penny further contribute to its value, as some coins contain slightly different ratios of copper and zinc, producing subtle differences in weight, color, and luster. And these compositional differences, while minor in appearance, are significant to serious collectors who understand that even small deviations can drastically affect a coin's rarity and market value. And when you combine the double die cracks, off-center strikes, and metal composition variations, you begin to appreciate why this coin is not merely a piece of currency but a one-of-a-kind artifact, a tangible piece of history that embodies a convergence of chance, human oversight, and mechanical unpredictability. And it is precisely this convergence that drives the $15 million valuation, reflecting both the scarcity of the errors and the intense demand among collectors willing to pay extraordinary sums for a coin that cannot be replicated. And what makes the 1997 penny particularly compelling is the fact that it embodies multiple types of errors simultaneously, meaning that each specimen represents a perfect storm of minting anomalies, each contributing to a story that is as much about human fallibility as it is about mechanical precision. And in examining the errors in more detail, it's important to note the specific ways in which the double die manifests, as it can appear on the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," creating a visual doubling that is often quite pronounced under magnification. And this doubling effect is not just a curiosity, it is a marker of extreme rarity, because double dies occur when the hub used to impress the coin design onto the die shifts slightly between impressions, a situation that is highly unusual, particularly for coins produced during a period of rigorous quality control, making the 1997 example all the more extraordinary. And die cracks, too, are significant because they reveal the pressures involved in the minting process, as well as the limitations of the steel dies used, with cracks forming when stress exceeds the material's capacity to maintain structural integrity. And while most coins struck with cracked dies are considered flawed in an ordinary context, in the world of numismatics, these flaws are prized for their uniqueness and their ability to tell a story about the coin's creation. And when we add off-center strikes to the mix, the result is a coin that challenges our understanding of normalcy and perfection, because it demonstrates that even the most routine processes are susceptible to anomalies that can produce items of extraordinary value, and these errors are compounded by metal composition differences, as small variations in the copper-zinc ratio can create coins that are distinguishable under careful observation, and these variations, while subtle, are critical for serious collectors who seek specimens that differ from the standard production run, because rarity in the physical or chemical characteristics of a coin is a key factor in determining value, and beyond the physical attributes, the historical context of the 1997 penny also contributes to its allure, as it represents a transitional period in minting technology and practices, a time when the United States Mint was adopting new equipment, adjusting production processes, and producing enormous quantities of coins to meet growing demand. A combination of factors that ironically increased the likelihood of errors occurring, and while these mistakes were unintentional, they ultimately created an artifact that collectors regard as nearly priceless, because it encapsulates a moment in time, the technological capabilities of the mint, and the human oversight inherent in any complex production system, and the story of the 1997 penny becomes even more intriguing when we consider the possibilities that make it so valuable, as experts have speculated about undiscovered coins with similar or even more dramatic errors still hidden in circulation, meaning that each new discovery could reshape the market, increase interest, and elevate the perceived value of the coin even further, and this speculative aspect adds to the excitement surrounding the coin, because numismatists are not only interested in the coins themselves but also in the potential for new findings, with each discovery providing insights into minting practices, error rates, and the rare phenomena that transform an ordinary penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And it is also fascinating to consider the auction history and collector culture surrounding such coins, as they are often the centerpieces of high-profile sales, drawing bids from wealthy individuals, museums, and investors who recognize the coin not just as currency, but as a rare artifact, a tangible piece of history, and an investment whose value is likely to continue appreciating due to its scarcity, the uniqueness of its errors, and the ongoing enthusiasm of collectors. And the rarity and value of the 1997 penny are further enhanced by the fact that these coins are extremely limited in number, with only a handful of verified specimens known to exist, a scarcity that creates intense competition among collectors, driving the market price ever higher. And the desire to own such a coin is fueled not only by financial considerations but also by the prestige associated with possessing a coin that is recognized worldwide as one of the most remarkable errors ever produced, a symbol of both luck and connoisseurship. And when we examine the specific errors and mistakes that make this penny so valuable, we see that each anomaly contributes to a narrative of chance and imperfection, where doubling, die cracks, off-center strikes, and compositional variations intersect to create a coin that is as visually captivating as it is historically significant, and the possibilities for discovering additional coins with these errors, or variations thereof, ensure that interest in the 1997 penny remains high, because collectors are motivated by the thrill of discovery, the allure of rarity, and the opportunity to own a piece of monetary history that embodies so many unique features simultaneously. Next, 2002 D1 cent. Today on this incredible journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, where ordinary currency transforms into objects of extraordinary value, capturing the imagination of collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike. And today, we are diving deep into a story that sounds almost unbelievable yet is entirely true, the story of the 2002 D1 cent coin. A coin whose production errors, mistakes, and anomalies have combined to make it one of the most coveted coins in the numismatic world, with a staggering valuation of $14 million, and what makes this story so compelling is not just the coin's extraordinary monetary worth, but the intricate and unlikely series of events, technical mishaps, and production irregularities that turned an otherwise ordinary penny into an artifact of immense historical and financial significance. And it all begins at the Denver Mint in 2002, a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies to meet everyday demand, yet in that vast output, a few coins were struck with anomalies that would eventually elevate them from simple currency to some of the most valuable coins in modern history. And among the errors that define the 2002 D penny is the phenomenon known as a double die, an error that occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives a misaligned impression of the design, resulting in duplication of the date, lettering, or certain design features, and in this particular coin, Collectors have noted doubling in multiple areas, including the date itself, the inscriptions, Liberty and In God We Trust, as well as certain elements of Abraham Lincoln's portrait, and this doubling effect creates a visual distortion that is not only striking to the eye but also extremely rare, making the coin highly desirable among collectors who understand that double dies represent one of the most significant types of minting errors, and the rarity is compounded by the fact that such doubling occurred during a period of strict quality control at the Denver Mint, meaning that only a very small number of coins were affected, which makes each surviving specimen exceedingly valuable. And beyond doubling, the 2002 penny also exhibits die cracks, a type of minting error that occurs when the steel dies used to strike the coin develop fissures due to repeated stress and pressure, and when a coin is struck with a cracked die, raised lines or irregularities appear on its surface, producing unique patterns that are like fingerprints, entirely unique to that particular coin. And in the case of the 2002 penny, these die cracks can be seen in multiple areas of the coin's obverse and reverse, further increasing its rarity and collectible appeal, as collectors prize coins that exhibit more than one type of error, particularly when these errors are clearly visible and aesthetically distinctive. And yet the anomalies do not stop there, because some 2002 pennies also feature off-center strikes, which occur when the coin blank, or planchet, is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a partial design that is shifted from its intended position. And while minor off-center strikes are sometimes overlooked, significant misalignment is extremely rare and can dramatically enhance a coin's value, particularly when combined with other errors such as doubling and die cracks, creating a coin that is truly one of a kind, and adding to the complexity and value of the 2002 penny are variations in the metal composition, as some pennies from that year exhibit slight differences in the copper-zinc ratio, which can affect the coin's weight, color, and luster, subtle differences that are critically important to numismatists because they indicate deviations from standard production, which in the rarefied world of coin collecting can translate into immense financial value. And the combination of all these factors, the double die, the die cracks, the off-center strikes, and the composition variations, makes the 2002 penny a remarkable example of how multiple minting anomalies can converge in a single coin, producing a specimen that is not only visually distinctive but also historically significant and financially priceless. And it is important to note that the valuation of $14 million is not arbitrary, but a reflection of both the scarcity of coins exhibiting these errors and the intense market demand among collectors willing to pay extraordinary sums for such a unique artifact. And the story of the 2002 penny becomes even more compelling when we consider the possibilities and implications that these errors present, as coin experts and collectors are constantly searching for additional specimens that may have gone unnoticed in circulation, meaning that even today, there is a chance that more of these rare pennies exist, hidden in jars, wallets, or drawers, waiting to be discovered, a prospect that fuels excitement and speculation within the numismatic community. And the thrill of discovery is amplified by the fact that each coin may exhibit a slightly different combination of errors, creating countless permutations and increasing the allure for serious collectors who understand that even small variations can have enormous financial implications. And when we examine the errors in detail, the double die effect on the 2002 penny is particularly remarkable, with the date showing pronounced doubling, the lettering appearing slightly shifted and duplicated, and certain aspects of Lincoln's portrait revealing subtle yet unmistakable doubling. And this visual phenomenon is not just an aesthetic curiosity but a marker of extreme rarity, as it occurs due to the die being impressed multiple times during production, a situation that is both rare and difficult to reproduce intentionally, highlighting the coin's uniqueness. And die cracks, too, contribute significantly to its value, as these raised lines or fractures serve as a permanent record of the stresses the die endured during the minting process, and because each crack is unique, it adds a level of individuality to the coin that is highly prized, as no two coins struck with the same die will exhibit identical patterns of cracking, further cementing the coin's status as a collector's dream. And off-center strikes add another layer of intrigue, as misalignment during striking results in partial images, which are both visually interesting and extremely rare, especially when combined with doubling and die cracks, creating a coin that is simultaneously an error, a historical artifact, and a work of miniature art. And the metal composition variations also play a crucial role, as pennies with non-standard copper-zinc ratios can differ slightly in weight, sheen, and even sound when dropped. Characteristics that might seem minor but are crucial to collectors who analyze every detail for signs of rarity and uniqueness, and together, these factors explain why a coin that cost only 1 cent to produce can now be worth $14 million, because its errors, mistakes, and anomalies combine to produce something utterly unique and historically significant, capturing the imagination of collectors and investors worldwide. And the 2002 penny also tells a story about the minting process, technology, and human oversight, as it represents a time when modern minting techniques were supposed to produce uniform, flawless coins, yet the convergence of subtle mistakes created a coin of unimaginable value, demonstrating how unpredictability in production can yield treasures, and the rarity of the coin is further amplified by the fact that only a handful of specimens are known to exist with the full combination of doubling, die cracks, off-center strikes, and composition variations, creating intense competition among collectors and driving prices ever higher at auction, and beyond its physical attributes. The 2002 penny also embodies a psychological and historical fascination, because owning one is not merely a financial investment but a symbolic connection to the minting process, a tangible piece of monetary history, and a testament to the extraordinary value that human error can produce, and collectors are often motivated by the thrill of possibility, the chance that even in an ordinary batch of coins, extraordinary anomalies might exist, hidden from view, waiting to be discovered, and this sense of speculation adds a layer of excitement that goes beyond the coin itself, creating a culture of search, discovery, and appreciation that elevates the 2002 penny to legendary status. And considering the potential for additional discoveries, experts believe that there may still be unknown specimens with similar or even more dramatic errors, which could further reshape market perceptions, intensify collector demand, and elevate valuations even higher, reinforcing the idea that the coin's value is not static but dynamic, driven by rarity, demand, and the excitement of uncovering hidden treasures. And the 2002 penny also demonstrates that mistakes and errors, which might be considered defects in most contexts, can become the very features that make an object highly desirable, turning a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. And in exploring the possibilities, we see that each individual error, whether it is a double die, die crack, off-center strike, or compositional variation, adds to the story of human oversight, mechanical limitation, and chance, creating a narrative that collectors, historians, and enthusiasts find endlessly captivating. Last 2000 1-cent coin, today on this fascinating journey into the incredible world of rare coins, where ordinary currency can transform into objects of astonishing value, capturing the imagination of collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike. And today we are going to explore a story that is as incredible as it is true, the story of the 2000 1-cent coin, a coin whose production errors, mistakes, and anomalies have combined to make it one of the most sought-after and valuable coins in the numismatic world, commanding an extraordinary valuation of $13 million. And what makes this story so captivating is not just the coin's financial worth, but the intricate web of technical mishaps, human oversight, and sheer chance that turned an otherwise ordinary penny into an object of immense historical and monetary significance. And it all begins at the Denver Mint in the year 2000, a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies for everyday circulation. Yet amid this massive output, a few coins were struck with anomalies that would eventually elevate them from simple currency to treasures of unparalleled value. And among the most significant of these errors is the phenomenon known as a double die, an error that occurs when the die used to strike a coin receives a misaligned impression of the design, resulting in duplication of the date, lettering, or design elements. And in the case of the 2000 penny, collectors have observed doubling on the date itself, the word liberty, the inscription, "In God We Trust," and even subtle areas of Abraham Lincoln's portrait, creating a visual effect that is both striking and exceedingly rare, which makes the coin highly desirable among numismatists who understand that double dies are among the most valuable and significant types of minting errors. And the rarity is compounded by the fact that during the year 2000, the Denver Mint operated under strict quality control standards, meaning that only a very small number of coins were affected, creating a scarcity that elevates each surviving specimen to an extraordinary level of collectability. And beyond doubling, the 2000D penny also exhibits die cracks, another type of minting error that occurs when the steel dies used to strike the coins develop fissures due to repeated stress, and when a coin is struck with such a cracked die, raised lines or irregularities appear on the surface of the coin, producing unique patterns akin to fingerprints, entirely unique to that particular specimen. And in the 2000D penny, these die cracks can be seen in multiple areas on both the obverse and reverse, further enhancing its rarity and value, as collectors prize coins that feature more than one type of error, particularly when those errors are clearly visible and add aesthetic interest. And yet the anomalies do not end there, because some 2000D pennies also display off-center strikes, which occur when the planchet, the blank metal piece used to make the coin, is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that is partially shifted or cropped. And while minor off-center strikes may go unnoticed, significant misalignment is exceptionally rare and greatly increases a coin's desirability, especially when combined with other errors like doubling and die cracks, creating a coin that is visually distinctive, historically significant, and almost impossible to replicate, and further contributing to the coin's uniqueness and value are variations in the metal composition, as certain 2000D pennies exhibit subtle differences in the copper and zinc ratios used, affecting the coin's weight, coloration, and reflectivity. And while these variations may seem minor, they are critically important to numismatists, who understand that deviations from standard composition indicate scarcity and add tremendous value. And when we consider all these factors together, the double die, die cracks, off-center strikes, and composition variations, we see how a coin that cost only 1 cent to produce has come to command a valuation of $13 million, because the convergence of multiple minting anomalies creates a coin that is not only rare but historically and aesthetically significant. And this extraordinary combination of errors tells a compelling story about the minting process, technological limitations, and human oversight, highlighting how imperfections in a seemingly mundane process can produce objects of immense desirability and financial worth. And the story of the 2000D penny becomes even more fascinating when we consider the possibilities that these errors present, as numismatists and collectors continue to search for undiscovered specimens, which could reveal even more dramatic mistakes or variations. And the idea that additional rare coins might still exist in circulation, hidden in jars, wallets, or drawers, adds excitement and anticipation, keeping collectors, enthusiasts, and investors engaged, as every discovery has the potential to reshape the market and increase valuations. And the thrill of discovery is amplified by the fact that each coin may exhibit a slightly different combination of errors, creating countless variations that make each specimen unique. And this uniqueness drives collector enthusiasm and financial competition, because owning a coin with multiple errors represents not just a monetary investment but a tangible connection to history, technology, and chance. And examining the errors in detail, the double die effect on the 2000D penny is particularly notable, with the date displaying clear doubling, the lettering appearing misaligned and duplicated, and Lincoln's portrait showing subtle yet unmistakable duplications. And this doubling is not simply an aesthetic curiosity but a marker of extreme rarity, as it occurs due to the die being impressed multiple times, a situation both unusual and difficult to replicate intentionally. Emphasizing the coin's uniqueness and significance, and die cracks further enhance the coin's collectible value, as each crack is entirely unique, serving as a permanent record of the stress endured by the die during minting, making each coin an individual artifact that cannot be exactly duplicated. And off-center strikes add yet another dimension, as the misalignment produces partial designs that are visually intriguing, rare, and highly prized, particularly when combined with other anomalies like doubling and die cracks, creating a coin that is simultaneously an error, a miniature work of art, and a historical artifact. And metal composition variations also contribute substantially to the coin's value, as coins with slightly different copper-zinc ratios can differ in weight, color, and luster, characteristics that might appear trivial to casual observers but are critical to serious collectors who analyze every nuance for signs of rarity and uniqueness. And together, these factors explain how a 1-cent coin can transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure, because its errors, mistakes, and anomalies converge to create something extraordinary and historically significant, attracting attention from collectors, investors, and numismatic historians alike, and the 2000 pennies story is further enriched by its historical context, as it represents a period when modern minting technology was expected to produce flawless coins, yet the convergence of small mistakes created specimens of incredible value, demonstrating that unpredictability in production can yield treasures beyond imagination, and the coin's extreme rarity is magnified by the fact that only a handful of examples with the full combination of doubling, die cracks, off-center strikes, and composition variations are known to exist, creating intense competition among collectors and driving the market price to extraordinary levels. And beyond the technical aspects, the 2000 penny embodies a deeper fascination, as owning such a coin is not merely a financial investment but a symbolic connection to history, technology, and chance, a tangible artifact that tells a story of human error and mechanical imperfection, and collectors are driven not only by financial considerations but by the thrill of possibility, the idea that ordinary batches of coins may still contain undiscovered anomalies, waiting to be found, and this sense of potential discovery adds to the allure, fostering a culture of research, search, and appreciation that elevates the coin to legendary status, and the potential for additional discoveries also keeps interest alive, as experts speculate that more rare specimens with similar or even more dramatic errors may still exist, capable of influencing the market, increasing demand, and potentially raising valuations even higher, underscoring that the coin's worth is not fixed but dynamic, shaped by rarity, market interest, and the excitement of uncovering hidden treasures, and the 2000 penny is a perfect example of how errors, often considered defects in ordinary contexts, can create immense value, turning a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact, and when we consider the combination of double die cracks, off-center strikes, and compositional anomalies, we see how each individual error contributes to a narrative of rarity, history, and chance, creating a coin that is visually captivating, historically significant, and financially extraordinary, and its aesthetic appeal should not be underestimated, as the visual distortions, raised lines, and misaligned features create a character and uniqueness that elevate the coin far beyond its face value.